Have you ever wondered what love looks like when it wasn't meant to last? If so, then I might have something for you. But I will warn you, the movie that I'm about to recommend won't just break your heart, it will also rewire it. Now I just want to mention, this channel isn't about a single genre or medium. Sometimes emotional truths come from places we don't expect, and if you're willing to keep an open mind, you'll often find the most devastating beauty there. So with that said, Chainsaw Man, the movie, Re:ZeArc, currently holds the highest rating of any anime on MAL, even above Studio Ghibli titles. Made on a surprisingly modest budget, it became a global box office phenomenon. But what's remarkable isn't the success, it's how perfectly the craft justifies it. Everything from the animation, to the music, to the writing, just feels like the Avengers of creativity had been assembled for the sole purpose of birthing this masterpiece. The film itself is an installment of the Chainsaw Man series, which, by the way, is where the Absolute Cinema meme first originated from. It is set in a world where devils are born from human fears, and the more something is feared, the more powerful its devil becomes. Denji is a desperately poor teenager burdened by his father's debt, surviving by hunting weak devils alongside his chainsaw dog companion, Pochita. When Denji is betrayed and killed, Pochita merges with him, reviving him as Chainsaw Man, a human-devil hybrid. He's recruited by a government agency that uses devil hunters as disposable weapons to fight increasingly dangerous devils. While Denji is motivated by simple desires such as good food, affection, and a place to sleep, the series slowly reveals a brutal system of control, manipulation, and emotional exploitation, especially through characters like Makima. Beneath its extreme violence and absurdity, Chainsaw Man is about power, desire, and how easily vulnerable people are used by institutions and those in control, themes that directly shape the events of the movie. You might be thinking, what? A romance mixed with this crazy chainsaw-headed man? Feels out of place in this action-focused world, right? And that is exactly why I was so pleasantly surprised. The events that unfold can be divided into 3 sections, with the first part being the fairy tale, the second being complete utter mayhem and destruction, and the third being the dagger of truth. Everything from this point forward contains major spoilers, so if you care about experiencing the story unfiltered, pause here and watch the film first. Starting from the beginning, those that have watched season 1 already know that Denji is quite the innocent teenager and doesn't seem to have a clear purpose, being the traumatized kid that he is. And romantically, he was interested in one of his superiors, Makima, though it always felt a tad superficial, like he was kind of gooning over her and there was a clear hierarchy at play. Nonetheless, the start of the movie itself throws us into what seems like a completely different universe.
マキマさんは俺に心ってあると思います?
For the first time, it seems like Denji is evolving emotionally. Although, just as he proclaims that his heart belongs to Makima, out of thin air, there she is.
ありがとう。
Reze is introduced for the first time in the story. A charming, bubbly, and energetic girl that almost immediately conquers the audience within the first couple minutes of screen time. She is so captivating that Denji is unable to peel himself away from her, and even though logically he just had a great day with Makima, his gut feelings are dragging him closer to Reze, which is almost typical of a teenage rom-com, which, may I repeat, has so not been the vibe of Chainsaw Man up until now. As she gets to know Denji, she asks why a 16-year-old like him isn't in school, why he is instead forced to risk his life each day to fight devils. She slowly shows him what kind of life he deserves, a normal one where he gets to learn and experience the joys of living. The pool scene alone is one of the greatest animated sequences of all time. A glimpse of a fairy tale where Denji gets to be Denji rather than Chainsaw Man. After all, he's just a kid who never got to be one because of circumstances he had no control over. Everything from the beginning of his life up until meeting Reze has been nothing but trauma, and everything with her feels like a dream. It is clear why he falls in love with her, because this is the first time that someone ever gets him. There's something deeply human about the way these characters are written. Small details, like Denji smelling his arms after swimming, or the way Reze gestures when she talks. Moments that feel almost insignificant, but unlock memories you didn't know you were still carrying. It reminded me of the first time I swam in a pool as a kid. The smell of chlorine, the feeling of novelty. Watching that made me feel alive again, and at the same time, made what was about to come incredibly more tragic.
仕事辞めて私と一緒に逃げない？
Something clicks inside of Reze. Perhaps a realization that Denji might not fit the idea of him that she had projected. And before you know it, she is literally the Bomb Devil, a human hybrid just like Denji that was created as an experiment in the Soviet Union and weaponized to serve the interests of its government. Her original mission was retrieve Chainsaw Man's heart and bring it to them, which makes you question, was all of that just fake?
ボン。
アキ、下に来い、すぐ。来た来た、ボム来た。
Everybody's after my chainsaw heart! What about my heart? Denji's heart! Does nobody want that?
What started as a harmless rom-com suddenly switched to a Mr. and Mrs. Smith style boxing match between Denji and Reze that never seems to end until they finally drown together. A thought was lingering in my brain at this point. I was sure that he still loves her, but did she ever love him?
私も10本に1本くらいしか面白い映画には出会えないよ。でもその1本に人生を変えられたことがあるんだ。
We wake up on this beach, complete silence, just the two of them. No more fight left in their bodies. I often think of this quote by Saint Ignatius: "Love is shown more in deeds than in words." And so as Reze tells Denji that she faked it all, I say, really? I will show you a better future. I will teach you how to swim. I will teach you how to fight and survive. And most importantly, I will protect you. It didn't even look like fighting at some point. Theirs looked more like a dance filled with colorful fireworks, often feeling more gentle than aggressive, as if no one wanted to completely disable the other. And you know what? I'm not surprised. She literally went through everything he's experiencing. That's why she knew what he really needed. After all, they are both victims of the same cruel system that ultimately pit them against each other. Just like in Romeo and Juliet or Attack on Titan, we are often unable to be our purest selves, our childlike selves, because of things that are entirely out of our control. Just two kids trapped in a web. That's the tragedy of it all. Denji, being the hopeful innocent that he is, still believes that they could be together. And he even tells her that he'll be waiting at the same cafe where they used to spend time with each other. Reze, on the other hand, already knows that she is done for after causing all that mayhem and for failing her original mission, and being around him would only put his life in danger. Running away is the only option left for her. And yet... At the end of the day, they're just confused adolescents, willing to accept the consequences if it means that they can spend one more moment together. I really appreciate what the team at MAPPA did here. They brought Fujimoto's work to life in such a graceful manner that I can't think of any way that this could have been done better. For a character that has only been around for a couple of hours, I doubt there will ever be someone that will have a bigger impact on Denji the way she did. Their bond was intense, painful, and beautiful at the same time. And as Mr. Kit Laser says on Letterboxd, underneath all the chainsaws and sharks and kaiju typhoon babies, this is kind of exactly what it was like to be 16. As of now, I am 26, been in 4 relationships which were all necessary and instrumental to become who I am today. And in a way, I believe that what's best for people is the kind of love that isn't all-consuming, that makes you feel respected and seen as you are rather than an idea. But sometimes I just can't help but feel nostalgic about the way life felt those 10 years ago. The feeling of wanting to drop everything and run away with someone, and realizing later when reality sets in that it was never meant to be. As you grow older, you start to realize that some people were only ever meant to be in your life briefly. And I think that that is both tragic and beautiful. I remember that a girl once told me in the period that we were breaking up, "My biggest sorrow is that the next person will get to experience the you that I always wish I had." That sentence weighed like 1,000 bricks, because she had taught me so much, and yet we were never meant to be together for long. That's why I really felt for Reze, because for narrative purposes, her existence was necessary for Denji's development. But what about her? A walking nuke, silenced within seconds, just meters away from freedom. She was just a girl that always dreamed of a simple life, working at the cafe and studying on her own. Her sweet lullabies of enjoying a coffee or going to the aquarium were so depressingly juxtaposed with the constant death and destruction around her. Ultimately, she could never even bring herself to admit her feelings towards Denji, all because of the life that had been decided for her. Faced with someone just like her, it comes to no surprise that she never pulled the trigger. He started off wanting to stay, and fell so hard that he was willing to drop everything and leave with her, whilst she wanted to leave and ended up willing to stay. Nonetheless, she savored each moment with him, and he ultimately ended up being the cause of her demise. Makima was watching from the start from the mice in the intro to the cat just outside the phone booth, and some say even the spider in the pool scene. She let them get close, let all of this unfold, when she could have stopped it at any point. Perhaps because she wanted to learn more about the way Denji thinks, once again so she can manipulate him. And so it is safe to say that these poor kids were doomed from the start. Reze likely realized this, yet she risked it all. Maybe because death would have felt better than living in a world where he's not around. We can't help but think about what could have been had it been an alternate universe. Sadly, it seems that although there are rumors of her immortality and her being alive, Fujimoto does not wish for them to be together again, even though the community is really adamant in them reuniting in some way in the future. But for now, all we will ever get is this bittersweet ending of the ultimate story about the one that got away.
初めて出会った時に殺さなかったんだろう。デンジ君、本当はね、私も学校行ったことなかったの。